it's a little
Ghosty,
empty.
should we let women be firemen and policemen?
Grid, those shades can't hide your red face. Get your mind out of the gutter.
So, Ghosty, if I was dying
great
inside of
policemen.
a burning building and I was waiting for a woman to come drag me out, but she can't lift me because I'm twice her weight, should I just die for women's rights or something? Or?
Hey,
So firemen usually work in a team, and firemen, I used to date a fireman. Most of their jobs are not rescuing people from fires. Firemen and firewomen do a whole bunch of different tasks. They rarely actually have to go rescue people from burning buildings, and they work in a team. So if a firewoman was on a team, she's probably not the one going to drag you out. But most of them are in pretty good shape.
What if the firemen could be saved, but you have to steal a ladder from somebody to do it?
What?
To feed your baby.
No, to save the firemen in the burning building.
I don't get it.
That's like asking, can an ambulance run a red light with sirens on?
This goes back to the debate we've had 1,000 times, which is why he doesn't understand morality and I do. Because the Ten Commandments.
That's because I have a lower understanding.
So he would let anything happen as long as he didn't have to steal.
That's because you and Furby have a higher understanding than I do.
We do, actually. Can you believe that? Can you believe the transgender gerbil Canadian knows more about morality than you do? That's fucking amazing. Jesus really dicked you over on that one, I-Fi.
I mean, that's pretty hurtful, to be honest with you. So, Ghosty, I got to go back to this whole thing about, that they work as teams and that sort of thing. But, each person has to be able to pull their own weight, so to speak, and the guy next to them. And so, I kind of disagree. I got to push back here. I don't think that your perception of reality is accurate.
So fire people, firemen, whatever, they are tested pretty regularly. So they have to qualify, participate in these tests, and most firewomen that I saw at my boyfriend's fire station, they were pretty burly women. And if there are people dying, I mean, if anything, say it's a family, she can go get the children, the man can go pull the burning man out, or they'll do it together.
Yeah, because they have time to organize before they run into the dangerous situation. That's flawless logic.
Yeah, that's assessment.
However, if the standards are lowered so that women can do the job, can they actually do the job?
So when people say the standards are lowered, right? We all know that men and women can't lift the same weight, run the same speed.
Shockingly, that's true.
Right. So men are always going to be stronger,
you also
faster,
can't
whatever.
Up,
so it's lower. It's a lower standard compared to men, but it's still a high standard for women in general.
But that's irrelevant because the standard is set. It doesn't matter if a man is 110 pounds and a woman is 110 pounds. The man would still have to meet the same requirements as a 180-pound brute. I mean, it's just the way it works. Do you understand that this is the flaw in your logic? This is where it all falls apart.
So where is this happening in real life?
Everywhere.
Hold on. I was almost done.
Sports, military.
The minute you lower the standards to make it so that women are playing on an unequal footing as men, you've done harm to both. I mean, it's just the way it is. And it's actually really bad, I think, for women to. First of all, I think it's mentally horrific, honestly.
There's a lot of out of shape policemen. There's a lot of
and there's
qualified policemen.
There's a lot of people who sit behind desks their whole lives.
If this was happening on a regular basis, where it's man died because woman couldn't pull him out of a fire, or blah 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 blah. If this was actually happening in real life, I might have a different opinion.
I mean, if
but
it happens once in real life, I mean, just there shouldn't be a standard at all. There should just be the standard. If a woman makes it, she makes it. If she doesn't,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's all I'm saying is there has to be the standard. There is
a standard.
Way around it.
An objective standard.
Well, let me ask you this: would they, if in the event there's a fire going, right, and the woman has passed all of her qualifications that are deemed on her, and the man has passed all of his, and it requires somebody to go in and bring people out, carry people out, and we know that maybe it's a men's warehouse, and so there's probably going to be a bunch of men in there. Okay. Would we be sending the woman in specifically to carry the men out, or would we be utilizing her in a different resource or as a different tool for the moment? I think that you could still apply, because she still qualifies as a fireman, right? To a good degree, where she's able to apply her abilities elsewhere. Yeah. But if she's in if the standard is to carry a sack of potatoes that's 200 pounds across, I don't know, a 1 block radius and then up some stairs or something crazy, and they lower that standard for women to only carry a 70-pound sack of potatoes or whatever, would that in fact then, when that moment happens and it is required, would they take the general assessment to that and mindfully play her role where it belongs, whether it's being a hose person, breaking down doors, mitigating.
We're talking about supply and demand of labor,
right?
Because
I have no problem with that.
It's the organizational aspect of it. Yes, you could organize it like that, but by definition, emergencies are chaotic, and therefore, I reject the premise that you could be so organized as to say, you women go pick up the children and you men go pick up the men, because you don't know which rooms the men and women are in. You just have to go do the job, and the job has a set standard, and everyone who does a job needs to meet that standard.
Right. What I'm saying is, are we even going to send that female in knowing that there's a room full of 3? Right. So I think that inevitably you apply some form of common sense. Like, for instance, if I was a nurse and I have to be able to roll somebody over, and this person is a 300-pound person, and I'm like over here $120 maybe. Yeah. Right? Would I look at that and be like, oh yeah, I got this, guys?
They burn or boil when you're that fat?
Just say girl power, and then you'll have the magic ability.
Wouldn't I assess that situation wisely and say, I probably, or if I'm not the best phlebotomist, but I did pass the test, but I already know I'm not that great at doing that situation, and I know there's somebody else better in the room that's better to that standard to do the good job, wouldn't I say, you know what, you're better at this, I probably shouldn't have to do it? It only comes in a moment of like absolute need, right?
So I think it's an interesting, I want to change away from firemen for 1 minute. I want to use because I love this example, because it's really interesting. Jet fighter pilot. So in theory, women make as good or better fighter pilots than men. First of all, they're light enough and small enough to fit into the planes. That's an important part of it, because if you ever notice, fighter pilots are not big people. Right. Second, they have generally, the women who try these sorts of things have excellent fast twitch muscle response, really good reflexes, and pretty decent awareness and perception. So on paper, it looks like they would excel. The problem is they overthink everything, and their reaction times are so slow, they fail the actual combat test. If they go out to just fly a maneuver, they ace it 100%. They go into combat, they lose almost every time. I mean, not every time.
What is this based on?
Sorry?
What is this based on? What are you basing this on?
The U.S. Air Force, the Navy.
Like, where are you getting this information that they start overthinking and they're not able to? I've never heard of this.
You've never heard of that?
No.
I haven't either. But
you haven't heard that? Okay.
No, I haven't either. But like, I'm about to look it up, which is probably.
Yeah, look it up.
Well, while you're looking that up, the Trib 1 comes with the big paralysis. 5. Pardon me for just a moment. The Trib 1 comes with the big 5. He says standards don't equal required level for the job. Standard is a precedent which is made for multiple reasons. Dummies aren't making the standard. You're welcome to respond.
Yes, they are.
And Joe Mobley.
Also, women have inferior spatial awareness.
Am I delayed or something? Because I feel like people keep interrupting me. I don't know if there's like a delay on my mic or something.
No, I think we're just being really rude, Sarah. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thought it was me. I really thought it was just me.
No, it's me. I'm just being a dick. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to well, it's not okay to be a dick, but what I'm saying is I'm not upset by it because I truly thought I was just being delayed. Joe Mobley is laughing his ass off right now because we all got it wrong. I presented it to you incorrectly, but I'm glad we went down this rabbit hole because I think it is an interesting topic nonetheless. He says, "This is funny. I meant, should men help women with women's work like making sandwiches and washing the dishes? Not a joke."
No.
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't a man help with maintaining their household? That's ridiculous, you know.
Statistically, men break less dishes.
Yeah.
Hey, Ghosty, do you know why women tend to break dishes more often than men?
No, I don't even know if that's true. But
because some women think they've outsmarted men and they pretend like they're clumsy and they try to convince their husband that they can't wash dishes and they therefore convince their man to take them out to dinner all the time instead of making them cook.
Oh.
I like that.
Oops, did I say that out loud? I'm sorry, Sarah. I was just listening.
Joe Mobley.
I meant women
Mobley, come on up here, buddy. Come on.
Yeah, Mobley.
Come on up. Get up here, buddy.
The link is pinned, Mobley. I'd love to have you pop on. He says because women can't help men with men's work, but I disagree with that, actually. I disagree with that a lot.
So, Ghosty. Oh, sorry.
And I'll even say, like, there's been several times, even when I was younger, if my dad was, he completely renovated our house top to bottom when I was a child. And I loved to be there right by his side. And, you know, usually my role at that age was hold the flashlight or go find a tool, right? And you got to know what tool it is. You learn really fast. But as years progressed and as I got older, like I wanted to actually help and actually do things. So now the roles are semi-reverse, sometimes, where I'll be doing something and I just need my dad to like hold the other side up of a shelf or, you know, do kind of the grunt work for something. But, you know, it's just, I don't know. I think that women can actually help with men's work. We are very good at playing support roles, whether it's, I used to help my husband all the time with kind of more like administrative stuff that he had to do.
You made the best coffee.
But I have something here, Sarah. When I, in the last year so that I ran the race team and we were running in the World Challenge, I had this female crew person. And she was really good. As a matter of fact, when I needed to loan out someone to another team to fix their messed up stuff, and I didn't want to, you know, I wanted them to actually, you know, make it to grid to be able to race against us, I would loan her out to the other teams. And she was, and they would all be like, "We thought that you were joking with us. We thought that you were like sending over your, you know, just the, you know, the placekeeper, but she actually like outworked all my own guys." I'm like, yeah, she's awesome, but it's really rare. I think it's a really rare thing. It's like one out of so many people that tried, but I do think that it is possible, but I don't think it's the norm, right? Like
Hey, Ghosty, do you mind if I kind of summarize and move on, or?
Well,
actually,
it's not my panel.
Oh,
so Ghosty, I think you would agree about the standard.
Hold on. There's an echo going.
There's a lot of echo.
I think it's the new guy.
That was me. That was
all
me.
Set?
How about the new guy?
That was me. That was
all
me.
Set?
How about now?
Yep, all good.
So, Ghosty, I think you will agree about the standards part. The important part to be aware of is, even though it sounds good in theory that we want everyone to be given a fair chance to compete in the world, there is reality about life that certain people are better at certain things, and so in the end, nature doesn't lower its standards. So in reality, in the burning building, it's not going to lighten up gravity just because you're a woman trying to help a man out of a building. So at the end of the day, we have to just admit, face the facts and make the best choice. So moving on from that,
right.
I do. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said right. I agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I assumed you were going to agree with that part. So I think you would also agree that we can just let reality decide these things. So we can let women and men compete in anything, and then just observe the results and see who is better at XYZ, and then just let society decide, what role they should play.
Yeah,
would you agree with that?
Women are objectively better at some things in comparison to men.
Right. So that was my point.
Yeah.
Who's at the bottom of a well?
I don't know where's
it was
the
like
well?
His voice.
The mic was like 10 feet from his face or something. I don't know.
That's
Funny.
okay.
We
could forgive our cell phone friends who come in.
Yes.
It's all right. We like the participation. I'm trying.
Joe Mobley, what's your you provoked this fight? Where are you at on this?
I did. I don't think we should. I've been agreeing with everything that you've said until this last part. Case in point, women in the natural state are better shooters.
No.
But contextually,
no.
Especially the Russian ones.
Contextually, now if we're talking about static range shooting, without the training as a data point, they're better natural shooters. Case in point, anecdote, but still, case in point, the second round my wife ever shot, it shot the X out of a bullseye about 10 yards with a 3-inch barrel on a SIG 9mm, and it's just like. But then you turn around and you know factually that women's spatial reasoning is a little bit worse than men's, which goes to Grid's fighter pilot thing, which also goes to where he gets that from. It's called combat effectiveness reports and dope data on previous engagements. These are just objective facts of men.
He said overthinking.
Versus...
He said they start overthinking.
Yeah, he said overthinking. Awareness. That was my observation.
I think
this is bullshit.
I think that was his hypothesis about why they underperform in the cockpit in real world missions versus.
That's analysis paralysis. They're too long. They're too slow on the trigger.
This dude's a cuck.
And there are times where I think that comes in handy. Maybe not as a fighter pilot, but there are times where I think taking your time to make a decision and observing and analyzing it can actually be a good thing, because we consider everything involved, not just like tunnel vision.
Women are not superior to men in any hand-eye coordination at all. Period. Full stop.
You're saying we don't have the lack thereof, like we're okay at it?
Women are not superior to men in any way in hand-eye coordination. Full stop.
Okay.
They're better at sitting still for longer periods of time, and they're better academically speaking in terms of the way that the American education system is set up.
I just think
women are not superior to men in any way. Hand-eye coordination or comprehension, period. Full stop.
Or comprehension. The syntax of your sentence is terrible. You're
you got
that's great.
We don't allow any of that.
I think that's TOS stuff, dude.
That's
you can't use that word.
ban. You're gone forever. I apologize, but I don't apologize. That kind of shit does not fly on any of my panels, nor will it ever. You are permanently banned. And
I mean,
what about the
let's
soccer?
live in reality. Come on, guys. Let's just it's okay to say there are differences. It is. It's okay.
Not for some
It doesn't
people.
hurt you. It's okay.
No, I understand this. Like, I'm fine with separating sports by gender. But I just don't think it's a useful conversation to say men are generally this way, women are generally this way, and like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I just don't see any usefulness to overgeneralizing, like, masses of people.
Not the good and proper functioning of a society. That doesn't seem like a good
like we can
use
make
for the
general
roles of men and
statements like
women.
men are stronger than women, but if we're gonna say like men are, I just don't see why it's a useful conversation.
Especially because it ignores the differences in these groups.
What I also
there's
not
differences among
seeing
women
is
even.
what
and
what I'm not seeing, I apologize, is that nobody's really tuning into the idea that we are all individuals. We grew up completely different experiences, different lifestyles, different teaching, training, so on and so forth. Now, women may not as a whole be better, but I'm sure there's a woman out there that can do something better than a man. And then there's a man out there that can do something better than a woman. What I think we need to recognize overall with the generalized statements that are being thrown around left and right is that we're all individuals. I might be able to make a better egg sandwich than Grid 1, but Grid 1 can probably fix a car significantly better than me. But I can also draw pretty pictures better than Grid, but Grid could also, I don't know, like pick shit up and do a lawn better than me. I don't like, there's so many things, but what we have to understand is that Ghosty and I, we're both females, right? She may be able to, I don't know, decorate a room better than me. And I may be able to build a shelf better than her. And she may be able to make a cake better than. We all have our individual thriving. We all do well at whatever it is we want to do well at. Women just focus more on what we would consider women things, and men focus more on men things. And every now and then you get a little cross sectioning over there, and there's women that can do men things, and there's men that can do women things better than everybody. So we can sit here and say overall this person sucks at this and they suck at that and they're really good at this, but we always forget there's an individual behind every generalized statement who has everything different.
That's true.
It seems
also,
that people
Uncle Guns is right about his statement. Is absolutely correct that he made. I've had the same thing, even in racing. That's the same thing. If I take two new students, a dude and a woman, initially the guy might be a little faster because he's just bolder, but women tend to be very sensitive to the car and how it moves and all of that. Once they get over the noises and the feeling of the acceleration and deceleration, they will come up to par pretty quick. The problem is that it's very, very difficult in wheel-to-wheel racing for them to be as aggressive. They lack the controlled aggression a lot of times, and they either have too much aggression and they crash out, or they don't have enough aggression and they get shut out. Same thing happens with men to a lesser degree, and that's something I used to look for in drivers was that just the right amount of controlled aggression. And men seem to be able to manage that a little better, especially the ones who've been punched in the face a few times as a young adult.
So I was listening during the firefighting stuff.
I've been punched a lot.
But what struck me is nobody brought up that like women are actually more like, since they're more nurturing, apparently, so I'm told.
That's not true.
They would be more likely. Let me finish. They would be more likely to finish or to actually save someone's life. Men, they just care about putting out that fire. They don't care about saving people's lives as much as they're not as nurturing. So if we're going based on stereotypes, I can assume that that women would be better at saving lives than men. Now, I don't agree with any of this, because if we look at like policing, for example, and why policewomen can do their jobs, even though that's also a physically demanding job, it's because you have tools. There's tools that also help you do your job. So as we advance technologically, we start to see less of a need for raw brute strength in these professions.
I also feel like it's just very disrespectful to women in these fields, like women veterans, women police officers, women firefighters, who are doing their jobs, their dangerous jobs, risking their lives every single day. And people on the internet just like to talk shit on them because the gender wars.
Yeah,
I will say to that, the job that I went into when I was in the Air Force was very physically demanding, and there was like less than 1% of women in that field. I had to pass like at MEPS, I had to pass a standard. It was one test, like everybody took it. I passed that. But then when I got to my INDOC course, they actually had a lower female standard for it. And I refused to do, I demanded to push forward and do more. Even though they said you can stop now, I said, no, like this is what the standard is the males. The only thing that I couldn't do to the male version, right, was the ruck.
He's standing up.
Yeah, that too. Well, you can. You just can't aim. Who's got the echo?
You can put out more fires that way too, by the way.
Right. But I couldn't do the ruck only because I have really short little legs, and so doing a 1 mile ruck, I couldn't keep the pace because you have this 70 pounds on your back and you're trying to keep up, and but they forgave me on that. Nobody was even mad, but I think that you're right. It is very insulting when people say, women like have a lower standard in this and that or whatever. But then there were men in my group who couldn't even pass the standard I was being held to while I was flying by them and annihilating them in the PFT every time. So to that, I say suck a toe, right?
So Ghosty, to your respect issue, do you think it respects women that just because every once in a while there's an exceptional woman who can do almost as good as a job as a man, that we should encourage all women in that society to follow that same career path?
Ghosty's not wrong.
What are you talking about? Like every once in a while.
He's trying to justify being disrespectful.
You said to respect the police women and the fire women.
It's rare to find anybody like in any given field. There's always those like people that have this like God-given gift and they always excel over other people. Now we can like break this down by gender and stuff, but this is just a humanistic thing. There's just some people that are better at certain things than others.
So because you found an exception to the rule, you think it's now a good idea to start the general idea of teaching young girls that they should grow up to become firefighters and policemen.
Will you quit strawmanning so hard?
If they want to. Like, I'm just
It's not even the argument.
Yeah.
Explain the straw man flow, hate. How's that a straw man to show respect?
Ghosty, did you make the claim that he accused you of making?
No, I never even said that.
You didn't say that we should respect the women who did the jobs as police women and fire women. You didn't.
That's not the same as saying that we should tell all women to do those jobs.
And was I asking you? I asked Ghosty. Did you just?
Yeah, I know.
But
like, frankly, you ask Ghosty too many questions and not me.
Yeah, we know that you're autistic, but there's more people here than just you and Ghosty.
Yeah, so maybe you try
asking. We'll all answer.
Or does Furby answer for Ghosty? Which one of y'all?
I know you're intimidated. I know you're intimidated by me at this point. We've had a few.
Okay, Furby's gonna talk for you, Ghosty, because
Furby and me are gonna tag team the shit out of you.
Women, so that's
you're not having an honest conversation, anyways. So I don't care.
Okay, so you did not say
why do you think this? Why do you think
women that did
no,
a
she
good
did
job
say
as
that.
police
You don't
women
understand the
and
difference. You don't understand the difference between saying that and saying that we
yes
should
or
tell
no,
all women to do that.
I still haven't heard a confirmation.
You've already heard
no. I obviously said that.
Okay, she did say that. So Flo is retarded, and so is Furby. Okay, moving on. So
no, you're the one.
I didn't say what you said.
Yeah,
you're the one who's getting bitched the fuck out. You're the one getting bitched the fuck out because you.
So allow me to rephrase the question, Ghosty, since you didn't.
I said what I said. I didn't say what you said.
Hey, I got a great
Would it
idea.
show respect to women?
That's a literal straw man right there.
Would it show respect to women to teach young women to follow in the footsteps of these honorable women that you just proposed? These honorable.
Would it be respectful to act like you're not retarded and continue addressing your questions as if you're not retarded?
He rephrased it in a better way this time, where he's actually asking if it would be respectful. So
would it be respectful to what? To teach women to.
I would try to tell you, but these retards won't shut up. So one more time, Ghosty.
See,
would it respect
this is the
women?
Thing I did to Melanie that one time is
to teach young women that they should follow in the footsteps of these honorable policewomen and honorable firefighters.
But he's a bitch.
If they want to, if there's a young woman who like looks up to firefighters and that's like her dream job, then you can raise her to be like, hey, look, it's going to be harder for you as a female, but there are other females who have done this, so fucking train hard, like build your body up, and you can do it. I'm not going to tell all women to do that.
Thank you for your answer. And sorry the retards wouldn't shut up for like 2 minutes and let you answer.
Do you have an issue with that answer?
Finally answering.
Sorry, you can't answer a question without straw personing someone first.
Do you have an issue with the answer, iFi?
Straw person.
I think I pointed out that finding an exception to the rule is not the good reason to change the general description of society.
She literally said she wasn't changing the general description.
I just proved she did. She just repeated it one more time, Flo. One more time for Flo. Sorry, Ghosty. You answered my question.
This is you're overstaying your welcome here.
I asked her, is it okay for society to
hold up? Stop. Both of you. I will put you both backstage for 5 minutes and let you cool
Will you put iFi backstage too?
Listen for a second. Let iFi finish his
I'll
thought,
kamikaze if I can take iFi out with me.
Then Furby, you go, and then Flo if you have a response, and then I leave it open to the panel. iFi.
So Flo,
say something iFi, so I can kamikaze into your bitch ass.
Notice how it's going to me next, but he's asking Flo a question, of course.
Hey, Flo, you could always pay to put him backstage.
I can't. I was off work for 2 weeks.
Well, then quit your bitching. You sound like a woman.
For real, dude. There's
For
one
real,
job
dude.
iFi, you don't have a lot
I don't care. She's
here.
not going to peer pressure me into submission. iFi, start talking so I can kamikaze into your bitch ass.
So finding the exception to a rule is not a good reason to change the general description of a society, saying that
you really wish somebody had that position so you could argue against them, don't you?
We do have.
I don't know. Maybe you like a girl that just said we should honor the women who served in police and firefighting, something like that.
I think what Ghosty is trying to say is that it's okay to say, "Hey, women can do this." It's not the mass, right? Just like most men can't do women things, right? It's okay to say it's not typically popular, but if you were going to do this, just know it's been done. Look above. Right? And that is what you can aspire to do. But if you do that, you have to recognize you're playing in a man's world, and it's going to be harder, and you have to be tougher, and you have to do X, Y, and Z, just like fucking YouTube. Okay. I know I'm playing in a man's world. I can't have feelings on here. I can't come on here crying. I can't come on here crying because I'm a girl playing in a
no crying in baseball.
I would say I hate changing diapers.
Okay,
I hated it. It's already passed, but it's done.
That Ghosty isn't talking about making an exception a norm. That's what you keep focusing on. That's where your brain went. We're talking about not kneecapping women by limiting their role models to things that are stereotypes. So that way women only believe that they can be princesses or stay-at-home moms.
Don't worry, dude.
What's wrong with them being a stay-at-home mom? That's a better job than anything else.
Nobody said there's anything wrong with it. Again, please try to listen.
Because it's not politically correct, and it's not popular in the left
issue is that we
they need these illusions.
The fact is that it's a very small percentage of women who can afford with their husband to be a stay-at-home mom. With the way it's all economically built in, I think, with everything and how it goes. You need 2 cars because mom has to take kid to baseball game and this and that, and you run around and get errands and yada yada. Like, we can't get away with just a half a house anymore. Right.
No, and that's been for like what, 20 years now or more, 40 years.
And most women don't play in the men's field anyways. Like, most women are in a support role or nurses or teachers.
I think
because that's what they choose to do.
I think the issue is that some of these dudes can't perform against women. Right. It's the same reason that some of these dudes don't like no-fault divorce. They need the woman to need them. Need me. Have a war. Have famine.
I think men like to just be constantly acknowledged for having the what's the word? But they have like the lead in physicality things, and they just need to constantly be told. Certain men need to constantly be told and recognized and acknowledged over and over again that men are stronger and blah 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 blah, and so they like to have these little conversations with feminists, and they think it's going to trigger women, and I don't know, that's like my conclusion I've come to.
I think that's a silly thought. Not at all. That's just apparent prima facie on its face. Just like my skin is brown, I'm also larger and stronger than almost all women.
And so
Wait,
am I.
what?
It's like most
that's
men
not
are
something
bigger
that we
than
need
women.
to assert.
He's
that's
right.
not something that we constantly need to assert. That's
Well,
prima
then
facie.
why are you guys having these like questions and conversations?
Because
even-
women have become
Because
so
there's women on the
delusional
panel.
One at a time,
that
one
you're
at a time.
denying, because women have gotten so delusional and simping men have gone with them to allow you to deny basic reality.
Nobody's doing that here.
Yeah,
and
no,
you guys are still arguing as if we are. That's my whole point.
They hear this from right-wing pundits who are against the left and all this stuff. They take it for granted. They never actually question, have I ever heard a leftist actually say that women are stronger than men? Because I've argued against this plenty of times. I've even
I actually have, but there's
plenty,
just one time. So,
but that's because
I don't know what a
caveats.
leftist is, but I can guarantee you that there's only probably like 2 or
you
5.
guys get caught up in the fact that there's caveats, and 30 to 40% of
no. That's not what we're caught up
Percent
on.
of all
Yeah, no, it is. Let me explain. Because when you ask a question like, "Can a woman be a firefighter?" When you ask a question like, "Can a woman be a firefighter?" It's not just a simple yes or no question. You want it to be a yes or no question.
Firefighter.
So you're the one who can't handle. You're the one who can't handle reality and the fact that not everything's binary.
Can I say something,
binary,
please?
and you have to overcome the ought issue. Why ought this woman be a firefighter if she's an inferior firefighter?
Why ought we discriminate against women if
for DEI
a more technologically advanced field and the gender differences are becoming less and less concerning?
Because generally chicks don't like technological fields. It is a goalpost shift, but it's a bad one because the Nordic countries have already put this idiocy to bed. I'm sure you're aware.
Even though Gamergate was about how women trying to have jobs in gaming, which is a very technological field, get harassed, ignored
it completely.
I'm providing you a counterexample of a technological field that women want
a much inferior counter example.
Well, I mean, the gaming industry doesn't require physical standards, right? That's more of like.
Exactly.
Also, the women didn't compete very good because they kept eating the controllers, so they weren't able to play as good as the men.
I'll shut up. Go ahead, man.
You've never seen the women eating controllers? Like every gamer girl in the 90s was always like licking and eating her controller.
Why?
While the men were like playing the video game.
Men would be asking them to do that, obviously.
That's so weird.
I mean, I guess if somebody paid $20 for me to like, I don't know, lick my phone, I'd probably.
Finkel, where's Finkel? Finkel, get her to lick something.
Finkel would say the no licking of objects.
Oh, yeah, wrong one.
Yeah, you're calling for the wrong one. But I think what we're coming down to is, as Joe was saying, is like, I think the real thing is, can they? Yes. Ought they? No.
No.
I think that's kind of like, that's not kind of where you're going with that.
No, that's exactly where. Yeah, I was.
We were agreeing with you. You said it correctly, and the answer was no.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
So.
ought they? No.
So the question comes down to not whether they're capable of it, but the question comes to ought they. So Ghosty and Melanie, I guess to you, we're recognizing that they can't. Hormaxer, I see you backstage, but Mr. paid to boot you, and you'll have to come back another night. I'm sorry. So ladies, the question to you would be, ought women be firefighters, police officers, air pilots, in jet fights and whatever. So
military front line.
And P. Fletch has confirmed there will be no phone licking this evening. Thank you, P. Fletch.
Thank you, Fletch.
Do I have to stop licking my phone?
I think certain women ought to. I think certain men ought to. I think certain women ought not to, and I think certain men ought not to.
Why?
Depends on their what they're good at and their strengths and their capabilities. That's what it comes down to.
But if the premise is that they're inferior and we'll just get.
Are they able to get the job done or not? If they're able to do the job, they should be able to do the job.
But I agree. To a definably lower standard, whether we're talking combat arms.
Are they able to do the job or not? That's what it comes down to.
I think that's been proven to be obvious.
So I would also point out that
let's see what the average size of a car crash victim is.
Look, if you have the same standard for everybody, most women aren't going to make it for higher things like that. But if they do make it, if they outperform men at the standard, then why wouldn't you let them in? It's the same. I feel the same way about leadership, women in leadership.
I agree with them.
Let them lead. We don't need to touch this thing at all. Just have a standard. If a woman leads, then she leads. But if we're subsidizing the female leadership market, then we're getting a less desirable result because we're prioritizing something besides leadership. So I don't think that. I think if you have a standard, just one, everybody should be able to compete for it, and the best will rise to the top.
Yeah, man, praising people. And
no, I agree with that. I agree with that because there's the potential understanding that we were created equal. I mean, according to understanding of the only thing we can
biology,
exactly. And not only that, our brains are the same size. We should have the same comprehension, the same understanding. But somehow we don't have the same chromosomes. That makes it. I mean, thank goodness I get to finally Spock. And I'm going to end this really quickly because I only have a few things to say. And I really just agree with a lot of everything everybody's saying, and I disagree with a lot of the concepts. But it's just, I just don't. There's no argument. It's literally just opening your mind to your own understanding and questioning yourself. Because I think everybody's arguing with themselves upon the same concept of what we're just reiterating what we already know, and we're trying to debate ourselves. It's what it looks like.
You're not going to call this psychobabble? The one chance you get to actually be right about calling something psychobabble? Anyways, so I'll just point out we're not cave people anymore.
Psychobabble?
In the U.S., the average carry...
Sorry, I was still going. I wasn't done. I know, but you cut me off first. You cut me off first. So thank you.
No, I was cut off first, but I'll let you go.
We're not cave people anymore, and the differences between sexes that would matter are being completely ruled out by the use of things like tools. Humans have been innovating tools for as long as we can remember.
You're a tool. I gotta go get cigarettes. I'll be back later.
So when it comes to using tools, there's not as much, like maybe a jackhammer, but most of these tools are made to make the job easier. And if that's the standard that we're living by, is making jobs easier, then that makes them more capable for women. Or women more.
You can't make fucking lifting bricks.
Check it out. In the United States, just Google this. Google was failing, so ask ChatGPT, and it gives the references. In the United States, the average carry weight test requirement for female firefighters is 50 pounds. The average size of a victim is 20 to 47 years old and at least 199 pounds. So there's no way in hell that this woman who's being tested on essentially carrying a fat child.
But you do realize that even most men or women can't lift 150 pounds or drag them across the thing.
Firefighters are trained. Firefighters are trained to work in.
I mean, well, you're trained, but if a woman's trained to do the same thing, they certainly will be able to. Muscles grow on any sex whatsoever. That is not a debate. The only thing that is a debate is how fast they do in the
Premier, you might want to hear what I have to say, because firefighters are trained not to go into buildings alone, not to save people's lives alone, not to be alone, because that's super dangerous. They work in teams so that nobody's carrying a body by themselves.
They communicate, right? And there's also different jobs. The majority of being a firefighter isn't rescuing people from buildings, anyways. But it is teamwork.
There's always a committee present during firefighting, y'all. Calm down.
They're communicating. They work in a team. There's various jobs you can be doing during a burning building. There's also just various jobs firefighters do.
Has anyone here been a firefighter or in the military? So Sarah,
I dated a firefighter, but I haven't been in a firefighter.
You know, I'm gonna jump off. This is the most circular arguments.
Yeah, we weren't making much progress.
And
I know.
And we keep coming back to this. But what about? And I don't care.
Who said
what?
I would agree with that.
I love you, Sarah. You're great. You're awesome. I wish you luck tonight, but I can't take any more. It's just too much.
Yeah,
Joe Mobley, I'm going to go panel hop some. I don't know where I'll end up. I'm
going to get back in bed.
I got to work on my airplane. But it's a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having me up.
But what about
same Sarah? I'm gonna hop off. I got my pajama bottoms on, but I got out of bed for this, and I agree with Grid. It's just
what kind of pajama bottoms are we going with?
I have my police academy pants on because I actually did this work that you guys are getting all these fanciful fake never happened in real life things. In real life, when it's going down, whether it's a gunfight or a physical fight or a remove people from a situation, the women tend to kind of skirt aside. There's
do a different job.
Body cam video of this. Yeah, they should, but women shouldn't be. Women ought not do this. That's my claim. I will come back and defend it.
There's a lot of things women should. Women should not
before
try
you
to
leave,
make babies.
Before you leave, Mobley, who is a conservative in today's politics?
I don't even know what a conservative is. I just know Republicans and Democrats.
No, Mobley. Who's a conservative in today's politics? Larry Arnn and Larry Elder. Have a good night.
All right.
Good night, Joe.
Awesome. Yeah.
And sorry I'm picking on you so much, Ghosty, but Sarah won't let me pick on her, so I have to.
Well, let's move to the next topic.
You're really into picking on women, aren't you?
I love women.
Metal
They're my
bands.
favorite.
Shut up. Best metal bands from 1975 to now, if you know it.
Black Sabbath.
I don't know.
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin's not metal.
Oh no.